Welcome to episode 2 of the Founders Flow podcast. Just to give you a little bit of a lowdown, today we're talking about maternal mental health. So that's covering sort of postpartum depression, mental health around baby loss, miscarriages, and just general mental health around maternal mental health. So I just want to give a little bit of caveat that I just don't want anyone to be triggered. So just before you listen to that, please just bear that in mind. And then if anyone is struggling, please head down to the show notes where we've popped a few links for anyone that is struggling.
I just got really lonely. I was really depressed, really sad. And all those things weren't contributing to me having a pregnancy because I just wasn't feeling my best. I thought that once I had my babies, then I would be fine. But that didn't happen. I suffered from awful social anxiety. It's exhausting. And also you're not really yourself either. So
also you're dealing with the fact that you're no longer that old you.
Yeah, you're just exhausted from being a new mum as well. You need to put yourself back together again. I just went on a mission. I joined a book club, which is all about self-development, made friends. And now I feel like I'm back to my old self again. But it took years.
Hello, and welcome back to the Founders Flow podcast. You are still with myself, Chloe, and Layla, founder of MyOverCare. And today we wanted to do a podcast around maternal mental health. So maternal mental health is on the 7th of May, and we have both been through some mental health challenges, and both of us believe that there is so much power in sharing stories. And as you know from probably episode 1, Layla and I could chat for hours on this. So we thought we would do a special episode around maternal mental health, touching on Layla's fertility journey and then also the struggles that I faced postpartum. So hopefully you will get something out of this. In the meantime, and if you do find that you're struggling, there is so much help out there that you can get. Please see the show notes. And of course, if you are concerned about your own mental health, please do go and consult a doctor. If you are looking for a bit of a women's health community, then please go over to @MyOverCare on Instagram, and there you can join our WhatsApp group where there is a load of like-minded females in there talking all about PCOS, women's health, maternal mental health, definitely. And yeah, so hi, Layla.
Hi, Chloe.
Firstly, as it's maternal mental health, how are you doing today?
I am actually in quite a good place. It's been a tricky year, actually. I've really struggled with perimenopause. I think I've told everybody I meet about this because I'm just like, what is going on? Yeah, it's been tricky. I didn't expect it to affect me this much. And it's mainly been motivation and just kind of like feeling generally tired and just not feeling it, which isn't like me at all. So it's been a bit of a shock. But yeah, I mean, obviously we're gonna go into maternal mental health today, and so I've kind of been there. I've dealt with all this a lot worse, shall we say, a lot worse. So I kind of know when you've been through, I think, mental health issues and you've been on a journey, you can kind of know what your trigger points are, and you can kind of know, okay, this isn't good. If I carry on like this, it's a downward spiral. So it's all a journey. And I think if you can kind of recognize where you are in your mental health state, it's easier to kind of pick yourself back up again. And I think for me, when it happened first time round, it was tough. I obviously hadn't experienced anything like that before. And because it was related to my fertility, there were so many other factors that I couldn't control. And I think that makes it difficult because I remember going to the doctors and him putting me on antidepressants. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, you're depressed because of your situation, because of it's not, there's different types of depression, isn't there? I think, and this was very caused by my fertility issues. So I was kind of on the mindset of once those are fixed, my mental health issues will also be fixed. But actually, that wasn't the case, which I can talk about. But, you know, I've sort of talked about my fertility journey in the previous episode, but it took 5 years and 6 miscarriages to have our children. And I think when the first miscarriage happened, that was a tricky one, because I fell pregnant, and it wasn't until I had the 12-week scan that I realized that there was only a sac inside. There was no baby. But because it was my first pregnancy and I got a positive test, and I carried on testing all through those weeks and it was still positive, I did the silly thing of, is it silly? We can talk about the 12-week rule and whether that's a good idea or not. But I did actually tell a lot of people, told friends or family, probably about sort of 9-10 weeks. So it was a blow when I had my 12-week scan, and there was nothing in there but a sac.
Yeah, but
it was hard. It was hard.
That 12-week thing is really interesting, isn't it? Because I was so scared to tell anyone before the 12 weeks as well. But it got to the point where I had no symptoms. I had like racing heart, and my workouts felt hard. I found out within 1 to 2 weeks that I was pregnant, and that's literally because I was like, I've either got COVID or I'm pregnant, and I did a test, and thankfully I was pregnant. But then I had like no symptoms whatsoever, and then bam, I went to the midwife, and she was like, "Do you have sickness? Do you have that?" And I was like, "No." Woke up the next day, bam, had everything. And I feel like my partner Tom he didn't really quite know what to do or what to say. And in the end, it got to the point that I was like, me and Tom both said, we have to tell people. Like, he was like, even like, just tell your mum, tell your stepmom, because you need that support. And I think that's what's really difficult, isn't it? Is like, and also that flip side of, if you hadn't have told anyone and then you found out at 12 weeks, you were then going to go through that alone too.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's difficult. I kind of disagree with it. I think you should be free to be able to say, because for that reason, if it doesn't work out, then you are on your own, and it's really lonely. But I remember calling my mum at about 10 weeks saying, I just don't feel pregnant. And my mum said, why would this happen to you, Layla? Why you? You know, why would something bad happen to you? Little did we know what was to come. But I remember just being really devastated. But at the same time, you get, 1 in 3 pregnancies end in miscarriage. It's quite normal, blah, blah, blah. But obviously it happened again, and then again and again. But also I didn't fall pregnant quickly. That wasn't like I was falling pregnant like every other month or something. Sometimes, because I say that I dealt with miscarriage and infertility, which kind of sounds kind of the opposite of each other. But I would go through like a year of not falling pregnant, which I have. So I completely can empathize with people that just can't fall pregnant, you know, because there's some of my friends have gone through IVF and all of that and not fallen pregnant once. And it's so disheartening. I knew that I could fall pregnant, but having to be like to James, I'm ovulating, you know, every month. And it's hard. It's just really, really tough on your relationship. But as the miscarriages went on, and also I was in a time where a lot of my friends were having babies as well. And it's really hard not to have those feelings of jealousy and resentment and anger, and just, you shouldn't feel like that. You shouldn't. I'm in my soul, I was like, this is really bad. I need to be happy for my friends. But some of them, we fell pregnant at the same time. Our babies would have been due at the same time, but I lost mine and they had theirs. And I found that really difficult to deal with. And my way of protecting myself was to withdraw. So I just stopped seeing my friends. I stopped going out. I went because I have got a little bit of an obsessive personality. Like when I get something, I think you're probably quite similar.
Yeah,
when I get something in my mind, when I get something in my head. So I read this book, and it was like, no plastic, no, only natural products, no sugar, no this, no that, take these supplements. And I just was, all the plastic got thrown out. I'd only eat, put things in glass containers. Is it PFA? Oh, I can't remember what they're called, whatever is in the plastic.
Yeah.
All natural cleaning products. Oh my gosh, it was just, but then you just end up building this little wall around yourself. What I did to protect myself, I just got really lonely. I was really depressed, really sad. And all those things weren't contributing to me having a pregnancy, because obviously, I just wasn't feeling my best. And I was put on antidepressants as well. So yeah, it was really hard. And I think everybody thought, my family thought, and I thought that once I had my babies, then I would be fine. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen, actually. And I had Louis, my first child, and then I suffered from awful social anxiety, terrible social anxiety. So I finally got this baby. He wouldn't latch also. So I was, I don't know whether lots of other women have had this, when they go to the hospital, the midwives tell you that you need to breastfeed, and bottle-fed babies end up having diabetes, and their hearing doesn't, or something about their hearing, because they don't suck on the nipple properly, and all this stuff. And I was absolutely petrified. So I sat at a pump every 3 hours for months, however long it is, first 2 months maybe, 12 a.m., 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 9 a.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m., 6 p.m., 9 p.m. So I used to go out to meet these other mums, and I'd be like, after like an hour, I'd be like, I've got to go home because I've got to go and pump, and the midwife would come around, she's going, you're doing really well. And really, I was falling to pieces, I was absolutely shattered, and my mental health was in tatters. I had terrible social anxiety. So even though I was trying to make an effort to make mum friends and things, I would walk away from those meetings and analyze everything I said, which I cannot even tell you how exhausting that is. It's exhausting. And also, you're not really yourself either. So you're not coming across as your normal, natural self. So I had all that to deal with.
But then also you're dealing with the fact that you're no longer that old you, right?
Yeah. And you're exhausted. You're just exhausted from being a new mum as well. And then I eventually had Luca as well. And it still was bad. And we moved to a different city, moved out of London, moved to a different city. And I remember sitting at my kitchen table being like, right, you need to sort your life out. You need to get yourself back together again. You need to put yourself back together again. And I just went on a mission. I joined a book club, which is all about self-development and the law of attraction, which I know we're both really into. Maybe we can do an episode about that. Talk all day about that. And I slowly but surely, month after month, book after book, pieced myself back together again, made friends, and now I feel like I'm back to my old self again. But it took years. I would say I've only been feeling myself, bearing in mind my youngest is 5, about 3 years, I would say. 3 years I'm feeling back to my normal self. So that's a really long time to be in a bad place,
And your new normal self, right? Like at the end of the day,
yeah.
we and I think there's so much pressure, isn't there, to like feel your normal self, and you're like also navigating who this normal now is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously motherhood changes you. Running a business and the pressures of that, I run this business with my children's father, obviously we're still together. That sounded like we were together. So this business supports our family, and we don't have a plan B. So yeah, it's all in. So it's navigating motherhood, running a business, trying to have a social life. And, I'm really into my fitness, as you are, and that's a real priority for me. And that's probably been something that's kind of helped me with my mental health for sure.
You changed massively, and I think that was what blindsided me. I think that's the right word, but what really threw me. I was one of these people that I've actually carried a lot of guilt around with it, in that, we found it very easy to get pregnant. I had a dream.
Don't feel guilty. No, don't feel guilty about it.
But you do, because you do hear a lot, you do you do hear, I know I shouldn't feel guilty because everyone's different, but
Yeah.
you also do hear like other stories. Do you know what I mean? So like when I had friends that were like had awful morning sickness or whatever, and I was like, oh no, I just sometimes fancy an egg and cress sandwich. I'm all right. And my like nausea only lasted for like a couple of weeks. I had a really easy pregnancy. I had a water birth with no pain release. Like I had an easy labor, but then like it sort of, I gave birth and I didn't get this rush of like, oh my God, this is love. I didn't get that, and it grew over time. But then I reckon he got to like 4 months, and I remember going for a walk and I phoned my mum and I said, my life is great. I've got a healthy little boy. We've just moved house. So I didn't take maternity leave. My work enables me to work on my phone and work sort of around the clock. So I didn't I just cut down and got rid of some clients that I didn't particularly want to work with anymore.
I'm glad you stayed with us.
And then just kept my like favorite ones that I was passionate about, that sort of like came like naturally to me. And it got to like 4 months. Was he 4 months? Maybe 5 months. And I own a gym as well. And that just brought so much, again, social anxiety, like I didn't feel like I fitted in. I didn't know who I was. I didn't really want to leave the house. The home was my safe space. That's where he slept really well. You know, I was breastfeeding. I felt comfortable to just get my boob out when I was at home. And it was just, I just remember saying to my mum, like, my life is so good, but I've got this deep, dark hole in my stomach. That's the only way I could describe it. And it took me so long. We went away to Spain, and the day we came home was the day that I literally said, okay, I feel like I'm starting to like come out of it. I spent the whole holiday just like on adrenaline, and like I was just wired and was just worried about everything, and overwhelmed by everything. And it took me, so now I stopped breastfeeding at 6 months, and I would actually say, it was December just gone that I also had a similar thing to you of like, I need to sort myself out. I need to make a shift. And I couldn't do it on my own. I work with Meg, who we're hopefully going to have as a guest on the podcast. She's sort of like a hypnotherapist, therapist, business coach sort of person, and I feel like she's my fairy godmother.
But did you go to the doctors about it?
Because I didn't think I was sick enough.
Well, the thing is, I was actually diagnosed with postnatal depression. And I actually, the doctor said, no, I don't have that. And he was like, I think you do. I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm not depressed. I'm just anxious. And he was like, well, no, you are.
I think I was.
And it's almost like I wouldn't believe him. I was like, no, you're wrong.
I think looking back, I used to be scared about going to sleep in case I'd wake up in the morning and not feel better. Like I just would walk.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a sign, really.
But I also felt like I just wasn't, I was like, no, I don't know. How did I feel? Maybe that I couldn't, maybe like people might go, you know, and I still had people say, oh, no, you're just a bit down at the moment. And I got back from Spain and I started meditating every morning. I went back to like gym classes to try to be social. I tried to take like some sort of control back in my life, and it definitely worked. I mean, it was actually after I started meditating that you and I had that conversation about doing more than just socials for my over. So it was definitely the meditation and everything was genuinely helping me. And like sort of, I think you do get to a point, don't you, where you have to sit down and be like, nah, I'm taking this back. Like I can't keep letting this. Like, I can't keep having these days. And I literally felt like in one of my meditations that I do walking meditations. I'm not great at sitting still. So I would just put a meditation in while I went for a walk. And I felt myself like pull back my power. It was like I was like grabbing something and like pulling it back to my chest. And I was like, no, I feel like with motherhood and running a business, you give so much of yourself to everything else that you become lower and lower part of the pile. Like there was one day, like when he was newborn, I don't think I showered for like 4 or 5 days because I was having a new and like that. But like that also is like, then no wonder we feel crap. Do you know what I mean? We can't.
But I think so many women do that. I think so many women do that. And the thing is, I probably drove myself into the mire because I was doing the washing and everything. The house had to be tidy, and the dishwasher and the cooking and all of that. And it was just like, I'm doing it all, but it's killing me,
See, I stopped doing it. I had to really so I basically, in my head, I think when I could either work or I could look after Frankie, and there was nothing else. So I couldn't have general hygiene. I couldn't look after the house. There was just nothing. It was those two things. And even that, I felt like I was dropping plates constantly.
Yeah. I think that's hard when you're running business, because I too didn't take maternity with my first. I think I was still, oh my gosh, I was still answering emails until about an hour before I gave birth. I mean, it's ridiculous. What was I thinking?
Literally.
I went back to work really quickly, and I do regret that, because I think that contributed to my mental health issues for sure.
I think mine did too. I think if I had just taken time, because I was posting to Instagram for a client, literally waiting to be sewn up. So and I do think again, it's on my phone. So I'm sure one of my friends was like, oh my God, I scrolled TikTok for about 7 hours after I gave birth, because there was not much to do on the labor ward. When I justified it by being like, well, I'm not scrolling TikTok, so I'll do my emails. Do you know what I mean? I felt but I also think that pressure of I put pressure on myself to not let the ball drop. I'm not letting people think she can't run a business and be a mum. I was so determined.
But I remember sending you a message before you gave birth, when you told me you weren't having a maternity leave. And I remember sending you a message being like, Chloe, it's all right to take some time off. Because I've been through it. And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's not worth it. It's not worth the decline in your mental health. It's not worth the self-sacrifice. I mean, no one's going to remember. I do obviously remember it. I do remember it, because I remember having the conversation. But it's true though. No one's going to sit. I could die, and no one's going to sit and go, "Oh, thank God she worked through her maternity leave." Exactly. You put on your gravestone.
Yeah.
She never gives up. And she doesn't stop. She doesn't know how to stop.
And it wasn't. I wasn't doing it as look at me, look at me. I was doing it because I think
I'm the same.
There was I think I'd built up this business, and I was like, I can't let it go. I love him. I love my little boy so much, but this was also my baby, right? And I just felt I was I think, and in hindsight, I think 100% I should have taken more of a break. But I also had a lot of help. I've got a brilliant support network around me. Tom worked shifts, so we were able to tag team. But also, I don't know if you feel like this, and maybe as well, we spoke on episode 1 about men's mental health, and also wanting to do an episode on mental health in general. But back when we were at our lowest, we then went on a journey, right? And that's fine, but we knew the journey we could go on. We had the power to still sit there and go, right, I've got to sort myself out. And I feel like that's still a very privileged position to be in, right? There's so many people that don't end up in that position and keep spiraling and don't know where to turn for help. And they don't know things about meditation or book clubs or joining communities or chatting about it. They don't know this because they're not in those circles. And I think that's what really scares me about people is I'm like, wow, I had problems, but I had, and I don't want to poo-poo how I felt, but I was like, I had real low moments with a lot of support and with the knowledge of where I can get support. So imagine how people that don't have that.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, after I lost my 4th pregnancy, which was late on, that was very, very, very distressing. And I did speak to SANS, which is a baby loss charity, which is free. And I think I found out about it through the hospital. But that was a complete and utter lifesaver. And I think so there are services available to people who don't have access to some of the things that we were able to access to help ourselves feel better. But yeah, I just hope that women that are going through a difficult time do know that there are places they can go, and maybe we can put some website links in the show notes just in case people don't know about these services. But
absolutely, because I would
just
have
having
no idea.
someone,
like, as in like organizations.
Well, for me, I think unless you've lost a baby midway through, or you've had a stillbirth or something like that, it is impossible to have a conversation, or people don't understand. It's thank goodness they don't, because it's the most horrendous thing you can go through. And actually, one of my really close friends had a stillbirth, and being able to talk. I mean, I lost my baby halfway through my pregnancy, but she understands, like, she knows the pain of it. And when you talk to these people from the charity, they are volunteers who've also been through it. So you're able to sit there and talk to someone who's got complete empathy towards what you are going through. And they are just so kind and lovely, and they do it for free, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be useful for us to be able to sort of list some charities there that people can talk to, people can go if they don't have anywhere else. They don't have friends and family, if they don't have anyone to talk to, because talking is the best thing you can do, really. It's the start.
Absolutely. I even find like this podcast, us doing this, helps me heal. Talking about it, being open about it. Like, I might relive a moment, and then you might say something, and I'm like, oh yeah, like, oh yeah, that's okay. And like, even just hearing other people's stories of just saying, like, your and I journeys were so different, yet there's so many similarities and so many crossovers, and we have so many of similar personality traits that, like, just hearing someone like that to be like, oh yeah, I went through this too, it's so comforting, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think also, if anyone's listening to this who is going through it now, know that you can come out the other side. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It might take a while. And I remember when I was in the middle of it thinking, how am I going to get to the other side? Because it just felt such a battle, even getting out of bed in the morning and having to face the day, and having to deal with 2 babies and nappies to change, and feeling so low. But it's a process, and all of a sudden one day you wake up and think, oh, how did I get here? And honestly, I feel so proud of myself that I've done it. It's hard, it's really hard, but sometimes when you go through difficult situations, you realize how much resilience you have, how strong you are, how you can get through difficult times. And when you are faced with difficult times in the future, you know that you can handle it.
Absolutely. I think there's not enough spoken about how much of a warrior females really are, right? From like dealing with your miscarriages, to actually giving birth to 2 little boys, to then going through like perimenopause. Like, if you think everything that the female body goes through or potentially goes through, plus dealing with those hormones that's up and down, and like postpartum, you're already like, whether you're breastfeeding or formula, you're still dealing with all of these hormones, this new life, this sleep deprivation, and like, we come out the other side. And like, I just think I've just got goosebumps, because I feel like that's important for me to remember too. Is like, actually, yeah, like, look at us go, look at the shit we do day in, day out.
Yeah. And what we've been through and how we've got through it. And that's important as well, knowing that you can get through it. But I think it's really important to have, other people that you can look up to know that they've been through it and they've got through it eventually,
Yeah. And like we said, if anyone is going through anything, we will leave as many as we can down in the show notes. Potentially we could put it as a blog on MyOver.
Yeah, that would be
like
good.
and then we can just link people back to MyOver. Of course, if you want, like I said at the start of the episode, if you want to come and join our community, there's WhatsApp group that's just like-minded women chatting about all things women's health. And please do follow at My Overcare, and my Instagram is at Chloe Hodgkinson. Everything down in the show notes. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. Please come and chat to us across Instagram. My Overcare will opportunity. Please DM us any questions or anything that you do want us to cover. And we hope this wasn't too triggering for anyone. So that, I think, is us done for episode 2. Layla, I love chatting to you. I'm so chuffed. We've done this podcast eventually.
I know. It's just simple to talk about, isn't it? And I think we've been through such similar situations and journeys. And it just means that there's so many other women that are going through it or have been through it or going to go through it that can hopefully take something from this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And next week, guys, we are back with an episode with a guest. It's not just us. So please make sure that you tune in. And thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.